I know that digital transformation and the ERP and the software systems, it's a challenging. It's not that easy. So tell us more about those challenges.
That's a good question. And by the way, just to add to something you said, I didn't mention this in your last question, but I started my career doing just SAP projects. So I was doing R3. That's how long ago it was. It was SAP R3, and I was certified in SAP right out of business school. For the first 2 years, it was all SAP work. So I know the product really well. I've obviously done a lot of ECC and now S4 HANA and a little bit of Business One, but a lot of S4 HANA type of projects as well. But I think that the hardest part with these sorts of projects is that first, I think one of the biggest things is organizations have unrealistic expectations of what the project is going to entail. They might get an overly optimistic proposal from a software vendor, or they might get a proposal from a vendor that doesn't have accurate assumptions around, how fast the client can move. So they end up with these unrealistic expectations early on, and that oftentimes leads to problems later on where there's downside risk and that sort of thing, or bad decisions get made. The other big problem I think organizations have has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with internal misalignment. So they don't have a clear vision of what they're trying to accomplish with, say, an SAP S/4HANA implementation. Product's great, right? S/4HANA can do a lot of good stuff. It's a very powerful tool. But if you don't know what you want to do with it, if you don't have a clear vision of what it is you're trying to accomplish, and also what you want to be as an organization, what are you trying to be when you grow up? That's the stuff that takes time. It slows down the project. It adds to the risk of the project. But so many organizations will just try to power through that or sort of ignore that and just go implement S/4HANA, for example, without figuring out what is it we want to be, what do we want our future state to look like. And of course, S/4HANA, the functionality or any ERP system is going to provide an input to help you define what you could be in the future. But if you don't really know, like, how are we going to consolidate these functions, or are we going to move to a standard operating model or more of a flexible, decentralized model? You have to make these fundamental decisions and clarify that stuff before you start implementing technology, or else it doesn't matter how well you manage the project, you're just going to run into trouble. So I'd say the internal misalignment and then the unrealistic expectations are probably the two biggest things. And then the third one I'd add, which is sort of related to the second one, is organizational change management. Just making sure that you are able to navigate the human resistance that inevitably happens during a project like this.